Joe, we're going to go ahead and get started, so give me the cue. All right, welcome everybody to this week's Entrepreneurship Seminar. I'm glad to be back with you today, and really excited to welcome Lorene Moore. I'll introduce her in just a minute. But a couple of quick announcements before then. First one is today is the last day for the group discussion online on Canvas. So make sure you need to have gone in and posted your original voices, but there's 19 students that have entered videos. You can go vote for your favorite, and the winner that gets the most votes on that wins $500. We'll announce that next Thursday in the Opportunity Quest finals as well. So watch for more announcements on Canvas about all of these things. All right. With our guest speaker today, I just want to say she is someone who truly epitomizes service in her personal and professional life. And so we're so grateful that Lorene Moore can be with us today. I was supposed to say, what do HVAC, magazine publishing, and business networking all have in common? The answer is Lorene Moore. Lorene is the co-founder of Nebo Comfort Heating and Air Conditioning, Villager Magazine franchise owner, and director for Business Networking International. If it keeps you comfortable, like a furnace, air conditioner, water heater, etc., Nebo Comfort keeps it running. Because service has always been so important to her family, they launched Nebo Cares to give back to the community. Through Nebo Cares, she has raised money for many wonderful organizations, including donating over 5,000 books to local elementary school kids. These many students have bestowed on Lorene one of her unofficial but all-time favorite titles of the Book Lady. Lorene is also a mother of 4 and grandmother of 4. She loves working, playing, and learning with her family. They are her North Star and the reason for everything she does. Her philosophy for success is love what you do, who you do it with, and who you do it for. So please welcome Lorene Moore.
Make sure that's, I can hear it. Okay. Technology step 1, success. Now let's check 2. All right. Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here. You guys are amazing. I was so impressed when I was able to participate in the Opportunity Quest last year to see all that you guys are coming up with. It's really exciting to know that the future of business is in such capable hands. So the reason I put up one of the strangest reasons to go into business is love, because I'm in business with my husband, and I'll be honest, is this other mic turned on still? Nope, doesn't look like it. Okay, just let me know if we're getting that. Honestly, I never thought I was going to go into the heating and air conditioning business, and it wasn't exactly something I dreamt of as a child. I had a lot of other ideas, and it has served as a vehicle to allow me to fulfill some of those other dreams, but it was something that was a part of my husband's family. So we went into business kind of somewhat unconventionally. A lot of people, and you guys are learning to become an entrepreneur in school. A lot of people plan ahead. There's a lot of preparation. We kind of went into it out of necessity. My husband's family had been in business for 45 years. Unfortunately, his father passed away and left no plan of succession for the leadership of the company, which is terrifying. And for my husband's mother, it was lonely. And it was hard for her to continue. And she kind of gave up. And then the economy gave up for her, and she had to close her business. So my husband, having been in the industry 35 years, he had a lot of customers that just kept saying, wherever you're going to go, let us know. We'll follow. We'll go there with you. And I sat there one night at dinner and looked at him and said, why are you going to take these customers to another company? Why not open your own? And it happened that fast. In an instant, our perspective changed. And we did some serious soul searching and trying to decide, is this a possibility? Can we do this? So, little more explanation. I did study business management in college and read the book, The E-Myth, which was like a must-read for all business wannabes. Anything. If you wanted to be anything in business, you had to read The E-Myth. And it terrified me. When you simply read the statistics that 80% of businesses fail, or that 4 out of 5 businesses don't make it out of the first 5 years, that's enough to scare you right out of wanting to be in business. Unless you are very passionate about what you're doing. And there is a love for who you're doing it with and who you're doing it for. So, paint a little picture for you. It is May 20th, and for the heating and air conditioning business, our Christmas starts June 1. That's our Christmas season, is June. So we've got about 10 to 15 days to get our business ready. So I want to share with you what we did. We called this the 12 Days of Business Startup. So in the 12 Days of Business Startup, my true love and me did 12 email accounts, 11 vehicle magnets, 10 logoed hats, 9 uniforms, 8 Facebook posts, 7 newspaper ads, 6 liability quotes, 5 cell phones, 4 workers' comp quotes, 3 shop trucks, 2 state tax accounts, and 1 federal tax ID. Woo! So, that whirlwind was just so we could get started. That was just so we could get to the point where we could figure out if we could have a business. So we caught a couple lucky breaks. And the first one was that we were able to get, my husband's family was Moore Sheet Metal, and we were able to get the Moore Sheet Metal phone number. Now, let me explain a little bit more. When my mother-in-law shut down her business, my husband is one of 3. And all 3 had very different ideas of what they wanted to do. So all 3 went very different directions. And that meant that it was really ugly in some ways. There was that immediate competition for those resources. And we kind of lucked out because we had been paying very close attention, and especially my husband, to what was important in your business. And coming from an older generation, they had not understood the value of a website. In fact, honestly, this was 2013, and today, most of the businesses in our industry still do not have active websites, which is kind of crazy in today's business world. So we were able to get the website. The other lucky break we caught was the phone number. There was a large outstanding balance on Yellow Pages advertising, but we recognized that phone number, that was our past, and we needed that number. So we were able to pay that advertising expense off and get the phone number. So our 12 Days of Business Startup gave us a possibility for a future, and the phone number and the website connected us to a very successful past. So then we had to get to work on our present, and that's where these pictures come in. We needed equipment. So we started scrounging eBay and anywhere we could. I didn't even know Craigslist was still around, but it is. We found quite a bit of used equipment, and it allowed us to start up on a shoestring. Now, when I say I started up on a shoestring, I mean like dollar store shoestrings. Not the nice expensive ones you buy at the shoe store. These were dollar store shoestrings, and if you pulled too hard, it was gonna snap. So we were really hanging on with a wing and a prayer. I lost my garage, turned into a lovely game of Tetris, trying to figure out where all the bits of equipment were going to fit in. But once we did, we were ready to go. And I was so proud. That day, that's May 30th. We were ready, we were open for business by June 1st. Robert, this is our ribbon cutting with the chamber. And Robert had been watching carefully over the years. He'd watched how his parents ran their business. He'd even watched how their competitors had run their business. He'd watched how their vendors did, and even how some of his customers did. So he had the industry knowledge that we needed. But that's not enough. So this is where I came in. My background is in customer service. I had worked at Losi Jewelers. They were a large jeweler there in Provo. Did bridal jewelry. I still love doing that as a hobby. I'll be honest, as a jeweler, I didn't make a drop of money, but I came home with some really pretty bling, so it was totally worth it. And I also came home with a knowledge of how many hats a small business person has to wear and how often you have to change them. And the thing that I learned from there was that you have to be ready for anything. Now, it doesn't mean you're going to handle everything that comes at you well. It just means you're going to handle everything that comes at you. The other background I had was I called 1-800-MY-APPLE to get support with my first Mac, and I ended up that phone call with a job offer to work for their telesales and customer service. And that was fun. How many of you remember where you were the day they announced the iPhone? Oh man, I'm old. I do. I was on the phones that day. In fact, I had only been on the phones for about 2 months. My first day was Black Friday. Not recommended. The day they announced the iPhone was pandemonium. It still wasn't even going to ship for 6 months, but the phones never stopped. People were so excited about that. And that experience really helped me to see how important enthusiasm and excitement is for your business. It also led me to an opportunity to train with the National Telecommuting Institute. They train handicapped individuals to work as telesales agents from home. That was a powerful experience. Several of our students had been told they would never hold a normal job again. They'd never contribute. So we trained them to work as sales agents for Apple, Carnival Cruises, AT&T, CenturyLink, a lot, Comcast. And that first time they were able to really contribute and help a customer and feel value was life-changing for them. So I learned from that everybody needs to feel needed. Everyone needs to feel that they bring value to your company, to your customers, to your community. We need to feel needed. So we looked at, and we were kind of impressed. We came with a good set of skills. Robert had the technical, I had the customer service. But did that mean we had all of the skills that we needed? We had to do a pretty tough analysis. We have the leadership, the planning, the delegation. Time management, not so much, not our strongest suit. Doing a tough, hard analysis allowed us to see what strengths we brought and what weaknesses. One of the questions I would tell you if you're going into business that you need to ask yourself is, can I let go of what I don't do well and let somebody else do it so I can spend my time doing what I do well? If the answer is no, you're going to make business ownership a lot harder on yourself than it needs to be. An example of that, my daughter wanted to be a dinosaur one year for Halloween. Yeah, the big purple one. Yeah. I thought, I can do this. I am going to sew my daughter a costume. I can sew. I just was so excited because it was going to mean so much to her that Mom made it. So we got about 3 weeks out and I hadn't started. We got about 2 weeks out and I hadn't started. Now it's a week before Halloween and I still haven't started. In my defense, I was working 2 jobs at the time, and I finally, 3 days before Halloween, called a friend and cried, "Uncle." She had that costume done that night. No fuss, no muss. My daughter loved it. She could have cared less who made it. All she cared about was that she had it on time, and she got a candy haul like nobody could believe. And I learned a valuable lesson. Just because I can do it doesn't mean I should. There can be other people who can help me with my business and do a much better job than I can and save me tons of stress. So be open to letting other people help you. You're going to need the help, whether you're open to it or not. Being open to it just makes life a lot easier. So another thing that was really important to us was that service. And we started Nebo Cares when we started our business. Now, as you're starting your business, it is very easy for it to overwhelm you. It is easy to get so caught up in what you are doing and what you're building and how important it is that you completely forget there's a world out there. And if you want your business to be successful, it has to be a part of that world. So for us, the best way to avoid getting sucked into that was to give back. And our program of giving, because Robert's father passed away of cancer, the very first program we worked with was the American Cancer Society's Relay for Life. If you're not familiar with the Relay for Life, it was an overnight event. Teams walked around the track and they did various fundraisers to raise money in the fight against cancer, to mourn with those we've lost, and to celebrate those survivors, and to support families that are going through that cancer experience. And it was one of the most fulfilling things we'd ever done. And it was like, getting bitten by a bug. The next year we did a concert with Paul Cardall and had him come down and perform for us. And from that I learned that when you're passionate about what you're doing, you will accomplish amazing things, and you can have a huge impact. You may not recognize the impact you make, but others will. We also learned a very good lesson for our business. For a new business trying to gain credibility, a great way to do that is to be in the community. So we had our Relay for Life banners, and we had magnets on our trucks for it, and I literally had people in the community stop my guys in their trucks at the store, at the stoplight, at the job, and hand them money, because they knew what Relay for Life was, and they knew that we were participating with it. It was amazing. The next program that we worked with, again, just one of those near and dear opportunities. The Veterans Home in Payson, the Benyon Sharp Central Utah Veterans Home in Payson, we did a car show But it wasn't just a car show. It was also a cruise. So these cars you see here in this truck, the truck is our 67 International truck. Found the oldest little beater truck I could find because it kind of symbolized us, small, old, and worn out. And these guys are taking veterans on a cruise around the south end of Utah Lake. Most of these veterans are homebound and do not get the opportunity to go places. So the chance to take them on a cruise in the old car that this 57 Bel Air that this sweet gentleman had cruised in and picked up his wife in high school, he got to cruise in that again. The little veteran, bless his heart, the little gentleman that rode in our truck with my son wouldn't get out. The nurses had to come get him. He had to take him around the block again. He was so excited to get out, to have freedom, to just feel alive again. So we learned from this experience that people need to have fun, and they need to have adventure in their lives. And if you can help bring that to them, either through your business, through your employment, or through your service to the community, not only do you help them, but it comes back to your company. So, the last program I want to share with our Nebo Cares program, this is where I got my name, The Book Lady. We go into elementary schools every month. This year we're reading with 2nd and 5th graders, and we read the books, and then every student goes home with a book with our name inside and our phone number. I can't tell you how many times I have walked through either Walmart or the grocery store, and I hear little whispers, "Mom, that's her. That's the book lady." I'm like, mission accomplished. It's so much fun to share that excitement and that joy of learning with those kids. But there's a business benefit too. I send each student home and tell them, now, go read to your mom, to your dad, to your aunt, to your uncle, to your grandma, to your neighbor. If you have to, grab the mailman and read it to him too. And they do. I have had neighbors call me and say, "Little Johnny brought your book home with your phone number on it, and we need a service call." So I love service. I love what it does for my community. I love what it does for me personally, but I also love what it does for my business. It helps me be a part of my community more than any marketing or advertising ever could, and that's paid huge dividends for us. I want to tell you, does anyone recognize who this is? Who the horse is? It's a little before even my time. Someone said it? Close, very close. Seabiscuit. Yes. When I say that little guy, I mean it. Seabiscuit was very small for a racehorse. And in fact, he really didn't get all that great of a start. He only won 4 of his first 40 races. And then a little interesting thing happened. He got set next to the Goliath of racehorses, man of war, in a race. This little horse that couldn't even meet the minimum time trial for the Kentucky Derby won the race. He broke records. Every time they put him next to a championship horse, this little horse came alive, and he won. He became the most winning horse throughout the 30s and 40s, winning the Triple Crown in 1937. So what's the lesson here? Competition is a good thing, and I don't care what your business is, you're going to have it. Even if you invent some widget that no one's ever heard of before, if there is a need, somebody else is out there trying to fill it. So use your competition as fuel to make yourself bigger and better and faster. A couple of tools that we learned that helped us as a small company, the Davids, do battle with the Goliaths in our industry. So one thing it helps to know is there's a lot of heating and air conditioning companies in the state of Utah. Honestly, you can't swing a dead cat without hitting an air conditioning company or heating company in Utah. We're everywhere. But it doesn't mean we're all competition for each other. One of the tools we learned to use was Google Your Business. And there are a ton of free resources on there. There's some paid ones too. But we actually found that we did better with the free resources. So if you're looking at what resources are there, Google My Business online. It's GYOB, googleyourbusiness.com, has tons of them. And it really helped us to get our name out there. So another thing we discovered, and you guys already know this, mobile is king. We quickly realized we were wasting a ton of money on Yellow Book ads. So let me ask you a question. How many of you have a Yellow Pages in your house, your apartment, or your dorm? Okay, a couple of you. How many have used it recently? For more than just a step stool? Yeah. How many of you have Googled someone or a business in the last week? Yeah, we all have. We don't use Yellow Pages anymore. We use these. Our Yellow Pages go with us everywhere. And spending more time focusing on making sure we were ready for Google Mobile made us a much better marketing decision and investment. So another thing that we found quickly, you got to advertise, right? You got to market. So one, know your customer, and two, know why they're reaching out for help. Most of our customers are reaching out to us because something's gone wrong. As a heating and air conditioning company, they're either too hot or they're too cold. They're generally worried about how much it's going to cost, and they're usually not real happy about having to call me. So we found quickly that humor was a great way to disarm a stressful customer. I always have to clarify, this is a disclaimer that I'm required to give by the management. That is not my husband. Letting your customers know what you do and why they should let you do it can be fun. It doesn't have to be all business. I did get one call with the yellow ad on the corner. A customer called me and said, I'm a little offended that you used my picture without my permission. And I thought, wait a minute, this month's ad is a cartoon. So we've had some fun with those. And you can. If you have to market it fun. Sell on the fun of doing business with you. So one of the things that your instructor asked me to tell you about is some learning experiences, maybe some failures. And one of the things that I am really, really guilty of is leaping before I look. Luckily, Robert, my husband's the other way, but one of those experiences was I had advertised with Villager magazine for about 5 years, and I saw, hey, they're doing a great job. I love what they do. They're good to work for. It looks like they're raking it in. So wouldn't it be fun to own a magazine franchise? Yes! And I leapt. And I was right. It was pretty fun. However, I hadn't taken the time to do that skills assessment that we did at the start of our first business, and I quickly discovered that I was in way over my head. I mean, you guys are probably familiar with the J curve. When you launch a project, when we launched Nebo Comfort, we did it perfect time, and it was up and smooth sailing. There's been a little bump since then, but it was a pretty good start. When I took over the franchise of Villager magazine, I was introduced to the J-curve. You launch, you crash, and then you try to build it back up. And that process can either be a shallow J or it can be a deep one. And understanding what it takes to be in that specific industry is one component to making sure and knowing how deep that curve is going to be, or planning on making it shorter. I had no idea how involved a magazine was. I had no idea how many hours I would have to spend calling on businesses, traveling to businesses. We go to 35,000 homes between Nephi and Springville. So I had to be talking to businesses all along that stretch. And what I didn't recognize at first was, not only was I struggling with this, but it was taking time away from our primary business. I had to really, really evaluate how much time I could give to both. I had to look at some of the other things I was doing, some of the other organizations I was involved with, and step back a little so that I could get that curve going back up. And I had to get good systems in place so that it would. But once I did, I found that as this built, it helped build my other business. And as my other business grew, it helped grow this business too. But they kind of worked arm in arm to help each other do better. Another thing that we learned was how important it is to be visible. Much of what we do in the community is about visibility, making sure that our trucks are stickered up and able to be seen. We tease my husband, this is his, and we tease him that the astronauts can see that one from the space station. It is a bright red truck. In fact, I always love getting phone calls from customers or people. Hey, I saw your red truck on the highway today. Oh, how was he driving? He was driving great. Oh, good, that must have been Robert. They don't have to know that I only have one red truck. Feeling bigger than you are is a great technique. You want to be a business that has 20 employees and 3 divisions? Well, act like you are. You want to be an international trade, import and export business? Even if all you're trading with is your family, act like you are. When you think like what you want to be, you become that. One side note, you do have to be really careful how you drive when your name is plastered all over the side of your vehicle. I did get a call one time. A lady called and said, you have no idea how bad that driver in your Explorer is driving. They are erratic. They cut me off from the freeway. And I said, oh, really? My, I'm so sorry. Are you the little gray Civic with the license plate IDJIT? Yeah, that was me driving. You might want to try a blinker next time. Not my best customer service moment. We have those too. So once again, you got to have a little sense of humor when those things come up. Another technique that really helped us build visibility was to write articles in the newspaper. Now, advertising's expensive, but your local newspapers are always looking for content. Now, if I do an ad that says 5 ways to save money on your utility bill, I'm going to pay for it. If I write a newspaper article that says 5 ways to save money on your utility bill, and I never once mention my business in the article, they're going to pay me for it. And they want it to be credible. So when they do the byline, they say, by Lorene Moore. with Nebo Comfort Heating and Air. Wow, I got free advertising. It really helps too, because if you do it, after a while they come to you. Now, a lot of you are thinking, okay, I'm looking at an online business. Look at your trade magazines online. LinkedIn, Yahoo, Google, Bing, all of them are looking for contributors. So writing articles can really help you build credibility and visibility. It doesn't just bring customers to you either. It can bring great referral partners or employees to you as well. One of the other organizations that we have been a part of that has really helped us build our visibility and has also been a wonderful way for us to give that back to our community is the Chamber of Commerce. So, hint one, join the Chamber. You may think your business does not fit the Chamber of Commerce model. However, there are business people in the Chamber who have been exactly where you're at, and they know what you're going through to start up a business. So why wouldn't you take advantage of them? If there's not a Chamber of Commerce in your area, start one. There's business people in your community. If you're not taking advantage of them, they're a wasted resource. Perfect, thank you. So as Professor Tanner mentioned, I'm also a director for Business Networking International. BNI is an organization that is dedicated to referral networking. There's over 9,500 chapters worldwide with over 270,000 members. Last year, we passed over $16 billion in business. And why is it successful? Because it's all about referrals. It's not about selling to each other. We never do that. It's about teaching one another how to find referrals for each other. Just the businesses you're considering starting, how many of you think you'll have to hire a salesperson somewhere down the line? Okay. Any idea what the average salary for a salesperson is? About $60,000. Any of you think you'll be able to hire 35 of them? In my BNI chapter, there are 35 members, and every week in our weekly meeting, we do a short presentation to explain what we're looking for the coming week and what they can be looking for us. For example, my meeting tomorrow morning, I will be introducing myself. Good morning, Lorene Moore with Nebo Comfort Heating and Air. Have you noticed the leaves are falling? When the leaves fall, the temperatures fall, and furnaces fall. And they break down. Now, you can wait until it's 10 degrees out there and give us a call, or you can tell your friends and you can beat the rush and give us a call now. So that's how I'll introduce myself in the morning and remind them why they want to call me now, or why they want to tell their friends to call me now. One example of a great referral that my son, who is in the insurance industry, received was a family that he's known for years had been struggling with their health insurance, and another neighbor is in our BNI chapter. He wasn't aware that they were struggling with it because it's just not generally something you talk about around the dinner table. But the other member knew. They referred Tyler, my son, to them, and he was able, within a matter of a few days, to get them the health insurance they need and save them about $1,000 a month. So through having that network, he found a new customer. Now, sometimes people refer to marketing and finding new customers as the Where's Waldo of the business world. You're always trying to find the little striped person in the crowd that is actually going to be a good customer for you. The reason we joined BNI is because that gave me a network of people that were looking with me. And in fact, after I joined BNI, we cut all of our other marketing in half because we didn't need it anymore. Having a strong network of people who understand your business, whether it's with this group or others, there's a lot of others out there. Make sure that you have a strong network around you. A lot of times we go into business because we want to be our own boss and we think, I got to be independent, I got to do this myself. You don't. And most likely, if you try, you won't be successful. And if you are successful, you will be stressed out. Make sure you build a good network of people to help you. So, what are some failures that I've learned from? I love this quote. Failure is definitely like fertilizer. It stinks, but it really helps things grow faster later on. And one of the failures that I learned the most from was from buying the franchise of Villager magazine when I wasn't ready for it. Now, I turned that into a good thing by learning, by recognizing what are the things that we did when we started Nebo Comfort that I didn't do when I jumped into Villager magazine. So it's not too late. I'm trying to do those things now and build that network that I need to flatten out that curve and bring that J curve back up. Another area that a lot of businesses struggle with, and especially family businesses, is growth. That first employee that you hire that isn't family, the first one that you can't ground when they don't follow instructions, can be really scary. And frequently, that very first one doesn't work out. A lot of companies, that scares them from ever hiring again, and they just stay there. Another thing is, a lot of times people try to grow too fast. You have some success, things are going well, money's coming in, let's do another location, and all of a sudden you think, okay, it's double the cost, but it'll be double the income, right? Not necessarily. Growth is a tricky thing. And again, this is where a strong network of people in the chamber, in a networking organization, right here at your school, your instructors can help you see where growth is good and where it might not be. Thank you. So, things I wish I knew when I was younger. I wish I knew how many carbs were in Pepsi. I think one of the things that I really wish I had been better about when I was younger was learning and seeking knowledge. You guys are way ahead of me there. The mere fact that you're in this class really is great. Never stop learning. There are hundreds of books out there on how to run your business, tons of them. What I've honestly found a lot more helpful are books on how to run my life and find balance and in that. So I want to share my 5 go-to books. Of course, there's the E-Myth. Gotta read it if you are going into business. I mean, the truth is, just because you're good at something doesn't mean you're good at going into business to do it. And just as important as knowing if you should go into business is understanding if you shouldn't. And knowing if you can be your best boss by helping somebody else's business and being the technician side of it. The second book that I would absolutely recommend is Intentional Living by John Maxwell. If you are starting a business, you want your business to be a 10, right? Your business will never be a 10 if you're a 4 leader. If you want your business to be a 10, you have to be a 10. You have to be intentional in your leadership and every experience you create for your company, for your customers, for your employees. The one I'm reading right now, The Speed of Trust by Stephen M.R. Covey. Wow, that one has been mind-blowing. We look at the political climate around us, and it is ugly. Our society is ugly. And why? Because we don't trust each other. Trust is an account. It's like a bank account. Every single thing you do, everything you say, every action, every plan, every reaction either withdraws from that account or it deposits in that account. And that has been a huge turnaround for our business to recognize where we were making deposits and where we were making withdrawals. Infinite Giving is one of the books that I fell in love with. One of the B&I philosophies is giver's gain. The more you give, the more you come back. What's the golden rule? Treat others as you would like to be treated. The platinum rule is treat others the way they would like to be treated. And that was a great book for that. But I saved my favorite for last. The Energy Bus. If you have not read this book, get it. In fact, I highly recommend the audiobook version because the author reads it and he is amazing. Anything you want to create, if you want what you create to be positive, then you have to be positive. You can't be worried about the money. You can't be worried about taxes or income or outcome. You can't be negative about anything if you want to create something positive. So, how do I measure success? My measurement for success is how does what you're doing impact your family, yourself, your neighbors, your community? If you are creating a good impact, whether it's economically or whether it's spiritually or socially or emotionally, if you're creating good, then you are a success, and it will follow. We are also firm believers in working to live, not living to work. As business owners, as entrepreneurs, that's probably one of the biggest mistakes we make. We live to work. If you want success in your whole life, then work to live. And that's what I would leave with you. Thank you.